Abdur-Jabbar says one of his aunts actually called him to share the news.
I'm still shocked by the whole thing. It still doesn't seem like it actually happened.
He didn't think the driver would be his own brother. Jabbar says his brother was kind, caring, and compassionate.
That's unbelievable, honestly.
The NOLA attacker's family now speaking out, as we often see in these cases, never expected it at all. In fact, never seen anything like this coming. Here was the exclusive from ABC.
In a KFTM exclusive, the brother of Shamsuddin Jabbar says these actions were completely unlike the Army veteran.
KFTM Sydney Ferguson is in studio now after speaking with his family earlier. In Sydney, how did they find out?
Kimberly, Aaron, Abdur-Jabbar says one of his aunts actually called him to share the news. It was normal for the family not to spend holidays together, but his brother's actions have completely blindsided and devastated their family.
I'm still shocked by the whole thing. It still doesn't seem like it actually happened.
14 people dead and dozens of others injured after a truck plows through New Year's Eve celebrations on New Orleans' Bourbon and Canal streets. 24-year-old Abdur-Jabbar assumed someone was having mental health issues or was angry. He didn't think the driver would be his own brother.
I just dropped my phone and crawled into a corner somewhere and started crying.
With an 18-year age gap, Jabbar says he and his brother, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, weren't always close, but had grown closer since their father suffered a stroke in 2023.
He was coming around a little more often to check on him and if there's anything he needed.
Jabbar says his brother was kind, caring, and compassionate, a description completely opposite to how the world has come to know him. Since the deadly attack, the FBI has found evidence Shamsuddin talked about killing his family as well.
That's unbelievable, honestly. I can't imagine him doing anything like that.
Jabbar says his brother only returned home to Beaumont 2 or 3 times a year. The last time the siblings saw one another was 6 months ago.
Everything was just how he had always been with me and around the rest of his family, you know, full of love, well-mannered, well-tempered, helpful.
While the family's imam says Shamsuddin seemed different, Jabbar says he showed no signs of the acts he would commit on New Year's Day.
He grew out his beard and he became more modest in his dressing. Nobody's seen anything like this coming.
Jabbar says he isn't sure when his brother may have become radicalized, but it isn't something his family condones or believes in.
This is completely out of character for him, you know, these actions. And they're also not any type of representation of what it means to be a Muslim.
Jabbar says his brother's actions aren't the essence of who he was, but it is a legacy he leaves behind.
And it's usually like that. Never saw it coming at all. And the New York Times had a deep dive into how this guy got radicalized. And here is what they report. They say recordings and interviews and more shows his increasing discontent with America and increasing isolation in his community. So we got 4 people who wrote this article. His electric truck was already headed outside towards New Orleans. He says, "I just want to record this message for my family. I don't want to think I spared you willingly." The words were among his last before he plowed into 14 people, killing them. The devastating violence revealed a secret radicalization that confounded his loved ones. They knew him as a decorated Army veteran, and we went through a lot of his credentials on yesterday's show, and they were many, including an anti-terror award. He held a $120,000 a year job as a senior solutions specialist. And we also saw that he was broke, remember? Days later, investigators were still trying to trace exactly how he had managed to go into a murderous state. But new details, new recordings and interviews show his discontent with America. Much of the scrutiny in the past year, when Jabbar deepened his isolation, there was a cluster of mobile homes he moved to. Even as he found himself amongst other believers, he remained an outcast. He holed up alone in his home, kept visitors away, limited contact with neighbors. A neighbor recalled Jabbar grew his beard long and then cut it short again. Several residents said they had never seen him at prayers at the nearest mosque, and the spokesman for one farther away said he didn't attend. "We've never seen him here worshiping in our lives, and I've been in this community since '08. Jabbar did not discuss his growing, and you also really don't want, like, come out and, "Yeah, he's here all the time. Oh yeah, Jabbar. Oh yeah, he's great." And you're like, no. Mr. Jabbar did not discuss his growing hardline religious beliefs with those around him. At Jabbar's house, there were signs of a dual life on his patio. The man, who had worked for years in real estate, had left behind several real estate yard signs inside a laptop, and they went through the same residence that we did, apparently. At the 3-bedroom home in Beaumont, Texas, where he grew up, family members gathered this week, looked through photos of his life. Jabbar had what seemed to be a relatively normal upbringing. Father grew up Christian, but later later turned to Islam, changed his name from Young to Jabbar. A relative of Jabbar's, who did not want her name to be published, said, "I don't think I ever heard the word Allah said." Mr. Jabbar's mother, who remained a Christian, later moved with Shamsuddin and others to Houston. At the University of Houston, Jabbar took in the college experience, enjoyed parties, alcohol, academics, eventually cost him a scholarship. By 2007, he joined the Army, working in human resources, earned a Global War on Terrorism Service Member medal. The Army featured him in 2013 on Facebook, and Mom responded, said, "I'm so proud of you, son." It set him straight. It gave him some discipline. It grounded him. Then his personal troubles began. With marital separations came alimony and child support. 18, now ages 20 and 15, young son, $13.50 a month, 27 G's in back payments. By the time that divorce was finalized, he had the job at Deloitte, but appeared to be paying over a quarter of his monthly salary in support. His third divorce appeared to be a bitter one, and there was an order taken out, so 3. Over the past year, Jabbar appeared to some in his family to have begun acting erratically. A previous ex-wife and her husband moved to limit his contact. His closer family also saw signs of unraveling, financial stress, and divorce. After the war in the Middle East, he seemed uneasy. He didn't like it. He said, "There's a genocide on both sides. It's inhumane." Then he began growing a beard. He didn't approve of partying or drinking anymore. He said it's not in accordance with what God commands. He said it didn't bring anything positive. Recordings about Islamic teachings were posted to an audio website. The recording goes on talking about get rich or die trying, voice of Satan, disbelievers, and more. A U.S. officials who reviewed some of the footage filmed by Jabbar said that he pledges bayat to ISIS. Jabbar's family said it's insane. It's unlike him. It's not like him. Jabbar, on Thursday, Abdur Jabbar pushed a wheelchair carrying his ailing father who had a stroke. His religious influences remain unclear. On Friday, residents gathered at the mosque. Many who lived in the area said they're worried about the attention to the community. See, that's why I said they're not going to be like, yeah, no, he's like one of our best congregants. Inside the mosque, they condemned the attack, reminding those their faith is rooted in peace. Outside, a helicopter appeared to be watching the gathering, drowning out the conversations. Wow, so four people had to write that. Great.